Divinity Original Sin 2 is in full swing, and one of the major issues players are having with the game is builds. What build do I use? What's a good build for a warrior, ranger, mage, etc.? Since the game is rather difficult, this has come much more into focus than one would expect. In this build guide, we're going to cover the unique build, Duelist. Let's jump into this build and see just how it works. The Duelist is a high-risk, high-reward build whereby the character focuses on high damage and dodging. Because players are more inclined to dual wield when playing a roguelike character with daggers, there is a natural synergy here with the talent Parry Master, which increases dodging by 10% when dual wielding. Players wishing to play this sort of build should also pick the dwarf race for this character, as they get an additional 5% to dodging from sturdy. You won't have quite as good of dodging as a Stormbringer, but it'll still be quite good. The Duelist will focus on Finesse and Wits. Finesse is the primary attribute of your daggers, so you'll need this to increase your damage. Wits will grant you critical chance as well as initiative, and is useful for spotting traps and other valuable items around the map. I recommend putting points into these two attributes in a roughly 2-to-1 ratio. You can also put a few points into memory and/or constitution as needed. Duelists utilize armor that requires finesse, which means you'll have a balance of physical and magical armor. Ideally, you'd have more magical armor than physical, because with the amount of dodge you're going to have, you shouldn't be getting hit by weapon attacks often, so keep that in mind when selecting armor. You'll also want to find pieces of gear that have either dodging on them or dual wielding, and stack pieces with these bonuses up as high as you can. In terms of weapons, as previously covered, you're going to want to dual wield daggers. This will ensure you get the bonus from Parry Master, as well as allow you to utilize Scoundrel Skills. There are a couple good pairs of daggers you can get early on. Niles the Flenser drops the unique daggers Chastity and Abstinence in Fort Joy Prison. If you defeat Dorothea, the Decadent One, in the Under Tavern of Driftwood, you'll get Terrabite and Venombite, which are also good. These will help get you going until there's a better selection of gear to choose from. One of the hardest parts about making a build in Divinity Original Sin 2 is getting your abilities distribution correct. It's easy to get spread too thin, and often people make the mistake of not spreading points around enough. The bonuses you gain from abilities in this game are somewhat different than the original, so it's easy to see why people can get confused. Let's take a look at the abilities and talents you need for a Duelist. As a Duelist, you will want at least 3 points into Scoundrel so you can use the bulk of the skills there, 5 points if you want Mortal Blow, and you want 10 points into Dual Wielding and 10 points into Warfare. Dual Wielding will not only increase your damage, but will also increase your dodging, which is important for this build. Despite Warfare's tooltip, it will enhance your piercing damage as well as your physical damage, so it gets high priority here. Keep in mind you'll need 1 or 2 points into Warfare early on so that you can use Warfare skills as well. As far as talents go, I'd recommend the following. Parry Master. I think this one is obvious by now, but I have to mention it here because it belongs in this section. The one talent this build cannot live without, so take this first thing. Opportunist. Pretty much a must for any melee sort of build. You'll get use out of this talent nearly every battle, so take it early. The Pawn. Excellent for any melee character. Helps you get in range so that you can use a gap closer to start the fight without using any AP. Since we have points in Scoundrel anyway, it's a no-brainer. Hothead. A great way to increase your overall damage output. Since you'll have high initiative with this build, you should make good use of it. Picture of Health. You'll be maxing Warfare with this setup, so this is a natural fit. This won't happen until the later half of the game though, so you don't need to take it right away. Now that you've decided which talents and abilities you want, you'll need to identify just which skills work best with this kind of setup. Duelists will use a mix of Scoundrel and Warfare skills to deal damage and stay alive. Since builds evolve over the course of the game, I'm going to put the skills in order from earliest obtainable to latest, because you won't be able to get them all right away. Scoundrel Skills. Adrenaline. Gives you AP at the cost of AP next round. Very good for this sort of build because you will have very high DPS, so you may be able to burn down a target or at least CC them before they get an attack using this skill. Backlash. A great gap closer that guarantees a backstep critical, albeit at 15% damage reduction versus a basic attack. This should be the first skill you use at the beginning of the fight if you are in range of your target. Throwing Knife. A decent range skill for this build, 85% damage versus a basic attack. It can backstab, so try to aim for an enemy whose back is already facing you for best results. Corrupted Blade. 115% damaging skill with 2 negative status effects, both of which are resisted by physical armor. Hard to find many skills this good with no downside. Ruptured Tendons. A great way to prevent targets from getting away from you and making them pay if they try. Deals the same amount of damage as a basic attack and piercing when they move. Sawtooth Knife. This attack pierces armor and is a great way to finish off a target or deal damage to a target with high physical armor that can be finished by a mage character on its turn. Deals the same damage as a basic attack. Sleeping Arms. This skill deals 100% damage and sets atrophy on the target, preventing it from attacking on its next turn. You can never have enough of these type of skills. Mortal Blow, the best finisher in the game. It's up to you if you want to invest 5 points into Scoundrel just for this skill or not. Personally, I think it works better in an assassin type build, but it deals a staggering 140% damage versus a basic attack. Warfare Skills. Battle Stomp. A decent AoE skill that comes with a knockdown, which is good. Wait until turn 2 to use this skill, as you'll want to get in a backstab on turn 1. It will also allow enemies to group up first. Whirlwind. Absolutely excellent for AoE damage, as you don't suffer a damage reduction from using it. In other words, this will deal the same amount of damage as a basic attack to just every target it hits. Can also backstab, ironically. Crippling Blow. Another skill that can be used to prevent your target from getting away from you. Deals 115% damage versus a basic attack and hits targets adjacent to your initial target. With 10 points into dual wielding, the Parry Master, and sturdy talents, you should be at 25% dodging without any gear, which is pretty good. You want to shoot for 50% or over by the end of the game with your own equipment. This isn't overly difficult to do since that's essentially 3 pieces of armor with 7% dodge on them. Also, keep in mind that leadership increases your dodging, so having a summoner in the party or someone with a decent amount of points into this ability will further increase your dodging. This makes it possible for you to hit over 75% dodging near the end of the game. Not bad. Chicken Claw and Ruptured Tendons when combined are one of the most deadly combinations in the game. Chickens will move around a lot and take piercing damage in mass quantity when Ruptured Tendons is applied. So much so that Larian recently nerfed the amount of steps chickens take so that the specific combo will deal less overall damage. Consider adding a point into Polymorph just to get this skill for this combo. Blinding your enemies reduces their accuracy by 35%, which can essentially make you actually unhittable later on in the game when you've acquired some decent gear. Because Blind is a status effect that is resisted by Magic Armour, it's difficult to pull off with this build, so consider having a party member put some points into Geomancer to take the Throw Dust and Dust Blast skills to help you out, or use Razzle Dazzle grenades. Thunder Runes increase your dodging when slotted into necklaces that have rune slots. Be sure to find ones that do and slot the best Thunder Rune you can in there, and it will increase your dodging by up to 6%. Although that isn't a huge amount, it all adds up to a much larger number. Also, one of the benefits of dual wielding is that your offhand weapon will also have a rune slot, which won't be the case if you're a two-handed build of some sort. Shields also have rune slots too. Lastly, when playing Lone Wolf, you'll get an extra 10% dodging from maxing out dual wielding, putting your base dodging at 35%. You should have no problems whatsoever staying alive when you can hardly be hit. Also consider dropping a point into Hydrosophist when playing as a Lone Wolf, so that you have a way to replenish Magic Armor, Armor of Frost, since that will be your one vulnerability. This will also grant you access to at least one heal, which can also come in handy. Be sure to check out our other build guides. Good luck, Sorcerers. Revlon is counting on you.